Good morning everybody and welcome here to our Tony and Guy Flagship Academy. This week we are celebrating National Apprenticeship Week, and how important the apprenticeship for us here at Tony and Guy is. We would like to share with you in the next half an hour to actually celebrating National Apprenticeship Week with two ladies who have leading roles here at Tony and Guy. And actually the special thing about both of them, Charlie Henry here on my left hand side and Elle Page here on my right hand side, is that actually they both came all the way up in their ranks at Tony and Guy. They started with apprenticeships and then worked continuously over years themselves into the positions where they are now. So we thought it's very nice to share with you their experience, their personal ways into the top level at Tony and Guy. And before we're going to share that with you, we would love to show you a little bit about Tony and Guy, about the history of Tony and Guy, and that you get an idea of what we do at Tony and Guy above just hairdressing standards. So let's have a little look at the history VT.
Hi guys, my name's Charlie Henry, Technical Artistic Director here at the Tony and Guy London Academy, and I'm joined today by
Elle Page, one of the Artistic Directors also here at the London Academy.
And we're super excited to be here with you today, sharing our experience from where we began at Tony and Guy many years ago as an apprentice and where we've worked our way to now. So, where do I begin? So I joined Tony and Guy when I was actually still in school. So I was 16 years old and I was in year 11. So maybe the same age as many of you here today. And I actually started working at Toni and Guy as a Saturday girl. I wanted to introduce myself to hairdressing and start to get a feel for what could be the rest of my life. I worked every Saturday in the Wimbledon salon and it was an amazing experience. I made friends with everybody in the salon. I started to get a real idea of what hairdressing was all about. And I couldn't wait until my GCSEs were completed. I'd left school in the summer and I then was able to join full-time as an apprentice. So I worked in the Wimbledon salon for 2.5 years throughout my whole training. And looking back now, I really have to say they were the best years of my life. We had so much fun. We had a really, really amazing team. All of us that were assistants become best friends and the training was amazing. So I came to the academy once a week, starting from when I was 16, and I did my training day at the London Academy. I started at the same time as everybody else in my class. It was our first day together. We had our induction, and from then on we were taken step by step through many techniques, many theory classes, and we worked our way through a 2-year course. Now, at the end of my apprenticeship, I then decided that I wanted to VADA, which is our higher education programme, in colour. I loved colour. So I then did a 6-week intense course in colouring before I moved onto the shop floor. And from then on, the rest is history, as they say. Now, I'm going to get started with my technique here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more later about what my technique is about. But as you can see, it's one of our super amazing salon-friendly techniques that we're working with every day in and out in our Toni and Guy salons. I've started my prep already, working all through the back and the side section, and I'm going to be repeating the same on the opposite side, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Elle, over to you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. So my journey runs kind of similar to Charlie's, but a little bit different. I didn't live in the big city. I lived in the big old countryside, and I lived in a place called Colchester, and that is where I started my training and my apprenticeship, similar to Charlie. I also started as a Saturday girl, and then I went and did my training in the salon. So when we're outside of London and things are a little bit more quieter, you actually get an assessor come into your salon to do your training with you one-to-one. So you'll be in the group of your fellow apprentices, and you'll do your training together. And that's a memory and a journey that's always stayed with me to this day. Even the people that I was with apprentices now, I still stay in touch with. They're still in the company, and we always share a little message on Instagram. And I think you're right, Charlie. You do make very good friends from the very beginning.
Definitely.
And further on, when you move to London. So also similar to Charlie, once I got my qualification of my hair professionals qualification, which is our City and Guilds, from there I also decided I wanted to VADA, but not in colour. I wanted to VADA in styling. So in styling, it's a very similar process. You come and do 6 weeks of an intense course at the London Academy to get you to that high-end standard. So what was really great, and I felt so excited and really nervous, was you come to London for that 6 weeks time, so it's amazing. It gets you outside of your comfort zone, you're seeing different places, you're seeing the big world, but then also you're taking that back to your hometown once you go on the shop floor. So it's such an amazing experience to learn in that way. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely.
Defo. Okay, so with the technique that I'm doing here, as I said, I'm definitely more into the styling side, but I also really love hair up and braiding, which something as being a young girl, you're always doing it on yourself or doing it on your friends. And this is really great because with Toni and Guy, you can take on that little sparkle in your mind and really push it. So I really wanted to do London Fashion Week, and editorial was how I got into that. So where I started braiding on my friends, I would then start to braid on a dolly head and really get it perfect. And that, which we'll talk on to a little bit more later, is how we got into Fashion Week and editorial. So I'm going to start to work a classic 3-strand braid, but what I'll be doing is working that on the scalp. So it will be slightly raised. Makes it for a much stronger look. So working your classic 3 strands, working under, into the middle, under, into the middle. I then start to add on my middle sections. So this middle section here, I just take horizontal and add to that. But before I talk too much about my technique, Charlie, let's hear a little bit more about your journey.
Thank you, Elle. So, one of my many favourite things about my journey with Tony and Guy, I'd probably say, is all of the opportunities that you get. And those opportunities started from the moment I was an assistant. So, one of my first exciting moments of being an assistant was the junior competition. Now, the junior competition is run every year, and it's split into different categories. Now, it's not compulsory, it's completely up to you if you enter, but by entering, you're really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and into something different, which, from my experience, and I'm sure you can agree, Elle, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is the main way of learning. It's the fastest way of learning, and it's the best way of learning. So, little Charlie, back to when I was 16, pushed myself out of that comfort zone, and I entered the junior competition. Now, if I could please have the slides up with the competitions, you'll see that bottom photo towards the left, the black and white image, that was myself participating in the junior competition. So we had a photographer there, I had a makeup artist, and it was the first time really that I worked on something as collaborated as that, working with stylists, makeup artists, a photo shoot, and it was such an amazing experience. Again, we came to the London Academy for us to take part in the event. We had our family, our friends, all of our salon. It was like a big day out. And the best part of it was at the end with the award and thinking, am I going to get that award? And one of my colleagues in the salon actually won the final one year. So we were all so super happy for her. When it's in your first year, you have the option of choosing whether you want to do a blow dry out of the many blow dries you've learnt so far in your apprenticeship, or you can go for a hair up style, which, as you can see from the image, I went with a braiding look, which was one of my favourite hair up techniques. And again, I was really pushing myself out of my comfort zone because from the very first moment of hairdressing, I was really enthusiastic in colour. I loved cutting, but I knew colour was what I wanted to do. But in the first year, I hadn't started actually learning colour yet. So there I was, braiding away, practising all of the time, and the results I got at the end was just amazing. Moving on to the second and third year, that's when you start doing your cuts and colours. So in the second year, you do one of your salon cut and colours that you learn in your training, and then moving on to your third year, that's when we work a little more creatively. So that's when you have the chance to enter the competition and to do a really creative style, which again was one of my favourite things to do. So what am I working with here today? I'm working with a technique called a foliage. Now this is a technique of highlights and balayage combined together. And I'm sure you're all familiar with highlights and probably even balayage too. And I'm sure yourselves and many of your friends and family have actually had these techniques into their hair. So through the hairline here, I'm working with what's called a baby light, which is a super fine highlight. And this creates a really soft illumination around my model's face. So I'm working with a pre-lightener application, and by working with that, it's going to allow me to lift the hair as much as possible, because here we want to create a really blonde result. Well, my beautiful model Natalie wants to have a complete change, and she wants to feel really blonde at the end. So by working with highlights around the hairline, I'm really going to allow myself to build up that colour. Now this is my last highlight working through here. As you can see, I've already placed a couple of baby lights underneath, and I'm then going to move on to my balayage. Now I'm going to pass you over to Elle so we can see what she's up to, and then when I get back to you, I'll take you through some balayaging technique.
Thank you very much, Charlie. So I'm continuing to work now my 3-strand technique, adding to the underneath of the section to make the braid slightly raised. Now also, if I can just have the slide pop up, please. So as I was mentioning before, London Fashion Week was something that really enticed me to kind of further on in my career. So if you look at the top right picture, that was one of the first shows that I assisted on at London Fashion Week, and that was so amazing. It was in London, the call time was super early in the morning, and it was so exciting. I got on the bus and then got on the train and then got on the tube and got there with all my kit, and it was so exciting to see that sort of dream finalised and become reality that, wow, I'm actually doing a show backstage at London Fashion Week with an amazing designer and an amazing team. And then obviously throughout the years you can see there that with the changes of hair colour as the years go on, we're doing more and more seasons. And now actually, a couple of years ago, I had my first show at London Fashion Week. So it is amazing to feel all these things kind of come full circle and really get all the experience and everything that you thought, oh God, I can't get on the train and do this and go to Fashion Week. That's not me, but I want to do it. But like Charlie said, you push yourself outside of that comfort zone. And that's something that Toni and Guy is just so great for doing, because it's not you on your own, yeah? It's you with a team, whether you're with your manager or another assistant or someone in the salon. You do everything as a team and you push each other. I know there'll be times where I come to Charlie and I'll be like, oh, I'm worried about this thing, how do I do it? She pushes me, and vice versa. And it's something within an apprenticeship in hairdressing that you don't tend to get elsewhere. So, continuing the 3-strand technique, keeping a really tight tension. I'm using a little bit of a wax stick to keep those sections really clean. My body position pushes into the braid. Those 2 outside sections need to be pulled really tight to get it nice and clean. We've got a lot of hair today, so I'm having to really concentrate on keeping it clean. But practice makes perfect, so I know that when I am working with a lot more hair, I need to really focus on my tension. How's your balayage coming along, Charlie?
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so when I qualified, it was 2015, and I then moved from Wimbledon Salon and I moved to South Kensington. So I was working in central London, travelling into central London every day. I lived just outside London in Surrey. Now, going back to competitions, I really didn't realise how many competitions and opportunities there were available to us as hairdressers. And I just qualified, it had been a couple of months, and I decided to enter one of these competitions with one of the stylists in my salon. We entered L'Oreal Colour Trophy, and if I could have the competition slides up for me again. So here are some of the images that I created within that competition. So I've got on the top right hand side in the centre with the red, that was an image I created for L'Oreal Colour Trophy, and we actually won the regional finals, and I couldn't believe it. I was pinching myself when they called out our name because I'd just qualified, I'd been on the shop floor for a few months, I thought I'd enter this competition and see what I get, and I got a trophy. I won. I was so happy. And from then on, every year, I wanted to push myself and enter more and more competitions. I then entered Wella Trend Vision, which is the top left-hand side image. And next to that, with the blue and green, is the image I originally entered for my photo shoot. And again, I was so lucky enough to win the regional finals there and to go on to the grand finals, which is an amazing experience. You stay in a hotel for 2 nights, you do rehearsals, you do catwalks. It was phenomenal, and it was something that, again, back when I was 16 years old, I never would have imagined myself doing. But with the opportunities and the support from the team at Toni and Guy, it really made me believe that anything is possible. And like Elle said, it's all about teamwork. I wasn't on my own. I had an amazing stylist there with me. We had an amazing makeup artist, photographer. It was completely out of this world, and something, again, I'd never ever dreamed of doing. But here at Toni and Guy, we believe that teamwork makes the dream work. That is our motto. And so with an amazing team behind you, even from such a young age, you can achieve anything. So back to my technique. As I said before, I finished the baby lights around the hairline, and now I'm working with more of a balayage technique. And I'm sure you're all familiar with balayage. And a lot of you probably have even started maybe practicing some balayage. Maybe you've seen shows on TV, Instagram, social media. Maybe you've started doing some of your friends' hair, your parents' hair. I know I definitely did when I was in school. So with the balayage, it's all about creating a perfect blend. So you can see I'm literally using the corner of my brush to blend that colour so softly up. And then through the lengths and ends, I'm just making sure I've got enough colour on the hair. And where we've already got the blonde through the ends, we're leaving that out so that we don't cause any damage to our client's hair today. So I'm isolating, and again, you've probably seen these foils being used in the salon, maybe when your parents have gone in to have their hair coloured, or family, or maybe you've gone in to have your hair done. So these foils allow us to develop the colour even quicker, so it helps the colour to process. So just pop your head forward for me, Natalie. Perfect, thank you. So I'm taking diagonal sections as I work my way through the hair. I'm working with a weave, which is where we pick up really fine pieces of the hair. And by doing this, it keeps our result really natural and really salon friendly as well. I'm working with a little bit of back combing, which is where we just push the hair slightly up, again, to create softness with our end result. And now I'm placing the foil underneath, and I'm going to start my blending. Oh, that's looking amazing. Tell us a little bit more.
Thank you very much, Charlie. So I finished the 3-strand braid, and I'm going to come and do some little details now to the lengths that we have with the braid, so it's not just hanging flat, and also adding some detail to the front. Now, if I can just jump back on the little slide, please. Now, the journey, as we're saying, as we're talking about with Toni and Guy, obviously we're talking about how we start our apprentice or apprenticeship, which is at 16. Now, I'm 28, so obviously I finished mine quite a while ago. Been qualified for a while now, getting used to it. And what you can see on the kind of left-hand side, this is kind of some of the demos and creative stuff that I've been able to do throughout my time with Toni and Guy. Now, as I said, I started off in Colchester, which is one of our really, really great franchise salons, and all of the Eastern Group is a really great franchise. So if you are in the Essex area, well, all around the UK, but particularly Essex is very close to my heart. So from working in Colchester and going to the academy gave me a real kind of like inspiration to want to be part of the Toni and Guy artistic team. So the Toni and Guy artistic team are the people that teach our future generations. So I learned from previous art team members, then I will go on to learn and teach younger assistants and so on. So from there, I kind of was like, oh, I don't want to leave the academy now. I've done my 6 weeks, but I want to come back. And I started to go to Art Team, which is a fortnightly session on a Tuesday where you can learn creative haircuts, you can learn more session work, you can learn how to teach, to go on to teach future generations. And then eventually you have what we call is our artistic director's presentation, which I did mine a week ago on Tuesday. So it's very, very fresh. And that for me was a real realization of everything coming full circle. So where I was really nervous at doing my first bob haircut, now I'm like, whew, bobs are fine. Well, if you've got a mirror in front of you, they're fine. But it's that kind of realization of, oh, I wanted to do this thing, but like you were saying, you know, you want to do it, but you're like, can I do it? You can. You push yourself. So yeah, really coming all full circle and being able to demonstrate at events such as Salon International, which if you don't know what Salon International is, it's an exhibition held at Excel in London. Lots of people from the UK and all around the world come to see hairdressers exhibit, show and present their skill. And we at Toni and Guy, we have a great show there every year and we have an amazing time. And to be able to demo in something like that and share knowledge like that is such a great and rewarding feeling. Of course, you don't have to go down that route. You can always work in the salon. Maybe you want to teach on more of a salon basis and you could become an educator in your salon. I think the point we're making here is that the options are endless. You can work in salon, you can move city like I did. I moved away from home, moved to London, and to be honest, I can't imagine ever going back, but that's each to their own. And yeah, it's all about just learning and sharing and just, you know, being part of the Toni and Guy team encourage you to do so many things. So without me keep on talking, let's actually see me do some hair. So around the front area, I've left out a few little baby hairs, and what we're going to do to enhance some texture through there is just go in with our wand and just work that all the way around to the ends. Now, is this something you do every day on a client or a person at home? Not necessarily. But the great thing about doing hair up or working on an editorial is that if you don't like it, you can brush it out and do it again. And that was something that was so exciting to me that, oh my God, the opportunities are endless, you know. I might be doing a braid one day, but tomorrow might be a roll or some kind of texture or so on. So you really can just get really creative and do whatever you feel. Charlie, how's it going? I'm excited to see this.
So working through my top section now, and I'm working again with some baby lights, so super, super fine highlights, taking the product all the way through to those very ends until I reach the previous blonde. And then I'm isolating, and I'm working with what's called a classic foil fold, where I fold the foil up and I fold the sides in order to secure the foil. Now, going back to when I qualified, similar to Elle, I knew I wanted to take the teaching route. So I started shadowing, and after a year and a half, I started my very, very first time teaching here at the London Academy. And it wasn't long after that I decided to enter something called the Breakthrough Team. Now, what is the Breakthrough Team? The Breakthrough Team is a scholarship between Toni and Guy and L'Oreal. And it's a year's programme where you do intense training, you meet up with the team once a month, and you learn all different aspects of hairdressing. So like I said, when I very, very first started at Toni and Guy, I loved colour. Even when I was a Saturday girl, I was always watching the colourist in my salon, always offering to wash their colours off, because I just found it fascinating how the chemicals work and the products and how we can literally transform someone's hair colour. Now, the Breakthrough Team allowed me to get an even better understanding of technique of all different areas of hairdressing, because yes, you have a colour day within your 12-year scholarship, but you also have an editorial day where we learn similar looks to what Elle's created beautifully for us today. We have cutting days where we go through different haircuts and different techniques, and really the opportunities within the Breakthrough Team are endless. We had so many amazing experiences. There was 12 of us who were chosen that year, and within that 12 we were then put into smaller groups. So there was 3 groups of 4, and at the end of the year what happens is you compete against each other. So you're given some examples of what you need to create at so many cuts and colours, some editorial, maybe some avant-garde, some men's hair. It's a combination of everything, okay? And again, what you have to do is you get your photographer, your makeup artist, your clothes stylist, you do everything yourself and you put on a show. The models do a catwalk, you choreograph it, and again, all of this stuff, back when I was at school, I never thought I'd be capable of doing. But throughout that 12-month scholarship with L'Oreal and Toni and Guy, you learn everything about it. So here on the screen, you can see some of the images that I actually created. So to be honest, I can't choose a favourite. I'd be lying if I had a favourite, because they're all my favourites. And when I look back at each individual look, I can remember exactly how it was created, what we did, and the theme behind it. So our theme behind the whole show was the solar system, something that I've always loved and found so fascinating. And so for me to be able to bring that into hair, it was just amazing. On the night we presented, we rehearsed, we had rehearsals during the day, all of my family came. My mum and my sister, they were actually crying when I won. It was just amazing to have all of your family there, for them to really understand what your career is about and what it is that you're doing. And I would definitely recommend anyone now who's coming through in Toni and Guy and who's qualified to enter the Breakthrough Team, because it really was such an amazing experience. So, going back to the balayage that I'm working with, I'm working through the very top section now, isolating everything so that we get the maximum lift. So combing the hair up, taking a diagonal section And again, I'm weaving the hair, counting my weaves as I go. I'm backcombing to create as much softness, and then I'm using my foil. And we don't always work with foil when we're balayaging. Here at Toni & Guy, we have so many different techniques for balayages, because what we know is that every client that comes in the salon isn't exactly the same or anywhere near the same. And so we believe that we need so many different techniques so that we're able to adapt these techniques to suit each individual client. So the technique I'm working with here isn't as freehand. We are putting everything into foil, and I'm working my balayage going higher on both sides and keeping it slightly lower in the middle in order to create as much softness but still as much lightness as possible. I'm just bending over the corners of my foil so I can make sure they stay in the hair before I take my next section. And I'm slightly pivoting here so that I'm going to finish my section on my client's parting. Elle, how are you getting on?
All good, thank you very much. So as you can see, I've finished the braids, the technique of the braids. But we've got a lot of length here, so I'm going to add some kind of detail through the back area to work and complement what we've done on the side. If you can see on the side here, what we did sort of preparation before is we actually worked a double knot braid. So if you imagine when you tie your laces, straight again for me, imagine this is a lace. You cross over, you loop through, okay, and you pull tight. Yeah, so that's how you're tying a knot. You cross, pull it through, nice and tight. So that's the technique that we're doing on the right and the left next to the 3-strand braid that we have here, but then I'm actually going to do that through the bottom here. Now I wanted to just touch on a little bit more going back to the apprentice. We obviously spoke about being going through the journey with Toni & Guy, what routes you can go down and what avenues and so on. So what you can actually achieve or what you start with, is first of all you're learning from the first day that you get there. Of course, you're starting your training 1 day a week in the salon or academy, wherever you are. But also, those days where you are in the salon, you're learning how to be with people, how to work with others. Not only that, you're earning money, yeah, which I know that was exciting for me when I got my apprenticeship. I was like, oh my God, I'm learning and I'm earning money, yeah? And those kind of things you don't get with many other careers. Hairdressing is such a involved industry that, you know, like I said, even if you're not training, you're still in the salon and you're learning how to deal with clients, how to work in a team and with people. Charlie, your colour looks amazing. What did I miss?
Okay, so quick swap over of the models, because what I really wanted to share with you guys is what the end result of this technique would look like. If you could jump up for me, Teresa. Okay, so as you can see, we've worked with the colours super high and close to the roots in order to create that highlight effect. But what we've also done is combined it with balayage, and balayage gives the softness so that as the client's hair grows out, they don't get roots every 6-8 weeks. They can go a little bit longer without having to have their colour done, which is ideal now for what our clients are requesting. So you can see we've got lots and lots of lightness. We still have some darker pieces going through to create that negative space and to also really enhance the lighter pieces that are sitting directly on top. If you could pop your head forward for me, Teresa, you can see again through the parting, really, really soft, beautiful, natural colour, super, super fine weaves, and again, working up to the client's parting. So as this grows out, it will grow out super soft. I'm just going to spin you round slightly. And you can see through the back here, we've also got some of our negative space, and it's been styled beautifully with some glamour waves, which again is something our clients are requesting so much of at the moment. So in order to create this look, we had to lighten the hair to a really, really light blonde, and then we worked with a toner of a pastel pink. Now, toners can fade quite quickly, but I make sure that my beautiful model Teresa knows how she can top up the colour. So she can pop in every 3 or 4 weeks and have that toner put back onto the hair, because unfortunately, the pink will fade from the hair, but the balayage won't. Oh,
Looks
that
lovely,
looks
Charlie.
amazing.
Thank you very much. If you stand up for me, my love. Okay, so, and I take off the gown. So here you have the finished technique. I've been working with 2 double knot braids through the sides. I'm just going to get you to come a little bit closer together, girls. Yeah, closer together. There you go. Okay, so we've been working with 2 double knot braid through the side on the right and the left. And then through the middle area, we've been working with a 3-strand braid. And a 3-strand braid is one of the first things that you'll learn within your apprenticeship within Toni and Guy. So I couldn't help but not give you a little surprise. We bring the girls together. Charlie, is there anything else you needed to add?
That looks amazing.
Just come towards me slightly, girls. So no, opposite way. Yes, perfect. Philip, all yours.
Wow, very nice, guys. That looks amazing. What a nice presentation, what beautiful hair. And you see exactly, you can see here, you know, both of them, Elle and Charlie, you know, they have different interests, different things they like, different talents as well. But I think that's the amazing bit about hairdressing industry, that there is so many different talents who are relevant to be successful in your hairdressing career. So also, I just got very inspired from when you was talking, because of course also from a personal level, I remember Charlie coming in school uniform into the salon after school. And I also remember Elle coming the first time to London for London Fashion Week. And myself the same way, believe it or not, I started Toni and Guy when I was 14 years old. I started as a shampoo boy in Berlin, and I moved to London purely for the reason because British hairdressing is famous for being the best hairdressing in the world. And I think I can just recommend you, when you have any interest of what you just seen, when you have interest, you can see at Toni and Guy, you can see it on the girls, we bring fashion into it. We love doing beautiful hair, we love people, we like working as a team, as the girls said. You know, so I can just recommend you to, either when you're here in London, come into our academy and have a little nosy. You're always welcome. We have every week 97 apprentices with us here. But also when you have the chance to go into any Toni and Guy salon around the country, pop in and say hello. We're always interested in really focusing on young talent here at Toni and Guy. When you have any questions of what you want to ask, please feel free to go onto the Toni and Guy webpage. So it's toniandguy.com. You can go onto the apprenticeship section. There you can leave your detail and we will personally contact you. I think it was a real joy to be with you guys today. Hope to see you somewhere at the Toni and Guy career. And have a nice rest of the day. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Bye, 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 bye.